I don't think that we realize how important it is to control the narrative. So I had a former coworker. Um, I can't remember what country she's from, but she's not from America. She's Spanish, and she recently came to the United States, and she got a job working with me, and I was always nice to her. English wasn't her first language, so she kind of had some trouble with communicating in English, but I could always get the gist of what she was saying. And for the amount of Spanish that I do speak, I was always able to, speak with her and hold conversations and things like that. So she wound up getting another job, and I saw her for the last time when she went to turn in her time card, and she came to me and she says, I want to say thank you. And I looked at her, I'm like, thank me for what? I wasn't her supervisor or anything like that. I was just a regular coworker. And she's like, I want to say thank you because I did not realize that Black people were not mean. And I looked at her kind of strange because I'm like, huh? And she says, from my country where I'm from, we are told that Black people are always mean. And, I always thought that. And she says, even when I came here, I did not talk to Black people because I thought you all were mean. And she says, it wasn't until I started working with you and coming to work and seeing how nice you always are to me. You always talk to me. She says, you always help me. She says, I'm sorry if I am mean when I say this, so I'm sorry if this comes off rude. And I says, no, you're fine. She says, I'm sorry if this comes off rude, but I always thought that about Black people, so I always stayed away from Black people. And she says, it wasn't until I met you. And she said, you changed my whole look or my whole perspective on Black people, because until you, I always stayed away from them because I always thought they were mean. And she asked me, could she hug me? And I'm like, yeah, you can hug me. So we hugged, and her husband wound up coming up in the process, and she introduced her husband to me. And she says, honey, this is who I always tell you about, my nice coworker. He looked at me, he goes, yeah, and he shakes my hand or whatever. He's like, thank you. And they were thanking me, and she's like, because of you, I treat everybody, all Black people. She says, I am always nice to Black people because you're nice to me. And I'm sharing that experience because, like I said, I don't think we realize how important it is to control the narrative, on a very universal scale. And from a social media standpoint, if we don't have the funds to put out the imagery we want to people to see about us, we still have a social responsibility in our interactions with each other, with people that we meet, to control that. Now, I'm not saying be away because, oh, this person might feel like I'm barbaric and let me change that. It's not on you to, go inside someone's head, but it is on you to be kind, to be giving, to be generous, to be nice. This is a universal thing. It's not a color coded thing. It's not a Black people thing. It's not a Spanish people thing. It's not a brown people thing. It's not a white people thing. It's on us to have a universal responsibility to be kind, to be nice, to embrace people. It's on us to do that regardless. Particularly for people of color, because we are cast in a certain light. It's not for us to force ourselves to be nice, but like I said, for us to be ourselves. But controlling that narrative is really important, because you never know what doors that may open. You never know what people you're going to cross and that you're going to need, in the future. And if you've made someone feel uneasy because you let one moment of irrational thinking or behavior get to you, then what does that do? Every day, it's very important you know, it's important when we go to work, when we go to school, when we interact with, you know, with these kids, with our family members. You know, it starts at home. If you're not in a position where you can sit in front of the TV and act, and, you know, you're not in a position where you have the spotlight to create that imagery, you still have that responsibility at home with your brothers, with your sisters, with your nieces, with your nephews, with kids. You still have that responsibility. Like I said, that kindness, that niceness can go a long way. There's always someone watching. There's always someone looking at you, formulating an opinion, a thought, a process, or a behavior, or an action off of what you do. And, you know, controlling the narrative across the board just has beneficial effects for you, because guess what? You're putting all of this positivity and all of this niceness and kindness out into the universe, and you're more than likely going to get it back. You're going to get it back. So, you know, like I said, it's not a color-coded thing. Like, who the hell controls the narrative? You do. You control how people see you. You control what people take in about you. You can control how people treat you. So, you know, it's really all about putting out those positive projections. And I did not realize, you know, I thought all Spanish people had come across black people and lived and worked with black people. You know, I didn't know that. I'm just being myself. And, you know, lo and behold, this lady had never intentionally interacted with black people in her entire life. And, you know, she was significantly older than me. But, you know, I'm glad I could do that for her. But like I said, it's not about, oh, you know, let me be this really nice black person just in case somebody has a racial tension. Like, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't about that. It was about me treating my coworker, this person, a way I would want to be treated. You know, I'm coming in, I'm new, I don't know anybody, I can't speak the language that you speak, please help me. I would want that. So, you know, giving that positive projection and giving that positive energy and showing her that it allowed a segue for her to extend that kindness to someone else, to pass that positivity on to someone else. And I can honestly say, you know, from having worked with her, I'm glad that I did that for her. Because now my other black brothers and sisters or other color folks are going to be treated nicely and with kindness from this one person just because she was treated kindly. It's a domino effect. Just be nice. That's it.